Good morning, everybody. I'm Len Gillette. I'm the president of the Silicon Valley chapter of AAII, and we're very pleased to present the program today, which I think you'll find very interesting. He's a realtor and a transition specialist, and his bio is on the screen right now. I think it's an interesting topic. In estate planning and financial planning, you really need to look out for the end game, a holistic approach to real estate. So, Brian, you've got the forum.
Okay, so thanks for joining in. So I've been a realtor since 2004, located in Los Gatos. I'm not bragging when I say I'm in the top 5% in the nation or the top 5% in the world. I'm just adding a little bit of validity to the fact that I've been through the ringer. I've seen the red flags and the speed bumps, and I know the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I work with homeowners of all ages, but I really love working with my seniors and my retirees. So I'm a seniors real estate specialist, which is SRES, but a lot of realtors are SRES. That's a quick class you can take. Everybody passes, and they teach you, how to talk loud and use large font. So it didn't really mean much to me. So I went ahead and got my certified seniors advisor, which is what doctors and nurses and anybody who works with seniors goes through. Also a certified probate real estate specialist, but I want to keep you out of probate. So that's not a title I'm proud of, but I do probate work. And I'm a transition specialist, and people ask me, why are you working with retirees? But a lot of realtors ask me this, So the reason I work with retirees is because of the fact that transitions are really important at this age. You can make a mistake in your 30s and 40s and financially recuperate from that. When you're in your 60s and 70s and beyond and you make a bad decision, it's really hard to recuperate from that. My dad, for instance, and I teach this stuff. So my dad was living in the villages. He had his reverse mortgage, no car payments, working at the guard shack. The villages is a independent adult community over in San Jose. And he was playing golf. Everything was fine. He had a plan for his future. And then his daughters from Texas said, hey, why don't you move out here? You can buy a house for $200,000 in Texas. So he did. And then when he got there, his daughters moved back to California, and he was stuck in Texas, and now he's on his way back, and he's going to be renting for the rest of his life. So that's what I'm saying. These transitions are really important at this age not to make a mistake. And there's just a lot of people out there. There's a lot of choices. The internet, as you know, is very time consuming, frustrating. There's a lot of predators that take advantage of seniors' inexperience with selling homes because it may have been 40 or 50 years since their last home purchase or their last home sale. In fact, I got into working with seniors because of a client called me and said, hey, I want to put my house in the market. I just got it ready for you. I just spent $100,000 on the kitchen and the bathrooms, and I got there and it was just linoleum and tile, and he had gotten taken for something that could have only cost $30,000. He paid $100,000. So that's why I'm here. That's why I'm in it. And I find that a lot of these homeowners, they get this paralysis of analysis where there's too much to think about. And then they say, well, I just don't want to think about it. I'm fine in my home. I'm just going to stay here and I'm not going to make any decision, which is the worst thing in the world, is to just stay and wait for things to happen instead of making things happen. So how I help retirees is I give them clarity and certainty and confidence, and I help them make good decisions whether they're staying or going. And that's what the whole thing is. My website, my email address, everything is stay or go homeowner. I don't care if you're staying or going. I just want to help you make good decisions. And so we need to focus on that house. That house is the nest egg. And I'm a resource that they can trust, someone that they're not thinking, oh, this realtor just wants to put a sign in the lawn. This realtor, me, I'm talking about how I help you age in place, how I help you decide what the right choice is for you. And so I'm trying to save them time, money, and frustration. And then I put together a plan for them, for their future. And there's no expectations, no strings attached. I don't charge for any of this. It's just a way that I differentiate myself as a realtor. Am I coming across clear and you can see the presentation? You hear my voice? Everything's fine? Lynn, just doing a quick check-in.
Looks good. Looks
okay,
good.
Great. Okay, so typically how it happens, a home is sold, the homeowner just decides to make a transition, whether it's to follow the kids or to go to a retirement community, or maybe the neighborhood's changing, downsizing, whatnot. They just I'm going to make a choice. And they only usually have a couple of reasons to make that choice. So they hire any old realtor who might give them a deal, or somebody they might know. And that realtor then tells them how much it's going to cost to sell their home, tells them what their net proceeds are going to be, but they fail to leave out a lot of things. And the homeowner makes the move. And then the homeowner then realizes that there was a lot more to that decision than just, oh, I want to make a move. And, here's how much the realtor said I'm going to walk away with. Capital gains, expenses, all sorts of different things need to be taken into consideration. So I tell people, a lot of people will come to me and say, I want to sell my house. I go, hold on, wait a minute. Let's really make sure that that's the right decision for you. And my boss and my wife don't like me saying that, but I'm telling you, I've talked more people out of selling their house than into selling their house because I'm educating them. So what I want to talk about today is the different types of homeowners. You're out there. You're going to be one of these 3 types of homeowners. And then this holistic way of looking at real estate that I just came up with. This is the first time I've actually given this presentation, but I know this. This is what I do anyway. I just called it something different because I heard this word holistic. Then we're going to talk about how you get a current snapshot of your home ownership to find out where you are. We're going to talk about envisioning your perfect future, creating a flight plan to get to your perfect future, and then when is the best time to make a transition. So you're out there. I'm sure you're one of these homeowners. You either want to stay and you say to yourself, I'm not leaving. I'm going out feet first. I love my house. I love my neighborhood. I love everything about where I live. You can't make me go. I'm staying. So there's a part of the population that's like that. But my question back to them is, really, can you stay? Have you really looked into everything you need to know to understand what your long-term future looks like and that you never outlive your funds? And also, there's a should you stay? Because some people think that staying is better, and in some cases, staying is not better. So there's that portion. Then there's a huge portion in the middle who are undecided, who have that paralysis of analysis. They don't know where they would go. They don't know if they should go, and they don't know how to go, okay? So there's this big unknown, and that's what we're talking about, where it's really hard to find the right information. Then there's the other ones that actually want to go. Those are a very small population. I think 95% of people want to age in place and stay in their home. But there's a phenomenon that's happening now where a lot of people are leaving California, whether it's the homeless, whether it's the home prices, whether it's the congestion. Just 47% of Californians are thinking about leaving. So put yourself into one of these boxes, and if you can't, you might look like kind of like that, thinking, I don't know. And I've been there, done that, and that's what most of my clients are, how they're feeling. So I put together this system. It's a website. It's called Stay or Go Homeowner. And I ask the question, is it time to cash out? And I ask them these 3 questions. Which homeowner are you? I might want to go. Where would I go? I'm ready to go. You click on one of those and it points you in the right direction. So this word holistic is not the word you hear. It's normally when you hear it, you think ooey gooey, I'm going to meditate and eat organic food. And it's not that. Holistic is in relating to holism. So it's the comprehension of all of the parts, and they're all intimately connected, and you can only explain the whole thing as reference to the whole. Instead of explaining little bits and pieces, we're doing holistic. So you might have heard of holistic medicine, where the doctor is not just saying, oh, your elbow hurts, let's give you a pill and fix that. What he'll do is say, well, let's talk about how your physical, your emotional, how about hereditary, maybe you have high blood pressure, runs in the family, your diet, your environment. That's holistic medicine, where you're thinking about more than just the one issue. And holistic real estate, I may have coined the term, I'm not sure. Maybe I need holisticrealestate.com, but you have to take into consideration your finances, your health, your personal situation with your family, your friends, your support network, just your social emotional well-being. And then there's your trust and estate, very, very important when you're thinking about selling your home. You don't just say, I'm going to sell my home because I think I can. You have to consider everything, okay? So, and then there's your real estate. So that's my holistic view of it. Now, in the Stay or Go Homeowner class, we take those categories, and what we do is we evaluate where you stand, and then we educate you so that you can make these intelligent choices. So I don't want you to think I'm trying to sell you on this Stay or Go Homeowner system. I'm just telling you, here's what I do to help my clients. This stuff's all out there on the internet. I've just kind of compiled it and condensed it and made it simple so that people can understand it, okay? So that's what it's called, the Stay or Go Homeowner system, and it helps homeowners decide if they should stay or if they should go. It alleviates that paralysis of analysis, okay? And so we evaluate where you stand financially, in your health, in your personal, in your trust and estate, and in your real estate. And so this is life, okay? And this, you're going to think to yourself, oh my God, why would I think of these many things when I'm just want to sell my house? But we're trying to tell you this holistic view. Here's everything you need to be thinking about, especially on finances. That's probably the number one pillar, is your finances. You need to know what your cash flow is. A lot of people don't know, are they negative, neutral, or positive on their cash flow, what their net worth is. So, you know, the house, the cars, the cash, the, you know, everything that they own, their investments, their life insurance, all of this goes into an interview I do with them, and I'm asking them all these questions, and we're teaching them all of these topics in this class. And this is what everyone should know before they make a decision. So you need to have a good feel for where you stand. Do you have all of this stuff? Do you have a mortgage? Do you have a reverse mortgage? Do you have a home equity line of credit? That all needs to be thought about in our decision-making process of selling a house, especially capital gains. You sell for $1 million doesn't mean you're going to be walking away with $1 million. There's also in your financial plan, maybe in 10 years, someone's going to give you some, you know, an inheritance. Maybe you want to leave an inheritance for your heirs. Maybe, you know, you need to know who your beneficiaries are, and the ultimate goal is to get to create a financial plan with a financial planner so that you don't outlive your money. So finances is first and foremost, but all the money in the world can't keep you healthy. So you have to, this takes into consideration of why you would make a decision to sell your home, believe it or not. So how is your health? Are you staying healthy? Are you social and are active? Is your emotional well-being? Are you all there? Are you mobile? Are you, maybe a co-owner is incapacitated, or maybe you will become incapacitated? How's your health insurance? Do you have health insurance? Is it good? Is it bad? Do you have a long-term care insurance policy? All these things need to be thought about in the decision-making process. What happens if a co-owner passes? That's a big, big change that's going to happen in your decision-making process. And then can you pay, on the finance side, can you pay for in-home care? Can you pay for part-time in-home care, full-time in-home care, skilled nursing in-home? So you can see, very important, but your typical realtor is not going to ask you all these questions, and you're going to have to meet with a lot of different people to try and figure this out. And that's what I guess my differentiation is that I can talk about finances and taxes and estate planning and, you know, all of that stuff to help you make this really good decision, okay? Now on your personal level, you could be rich, you could be healthy. Do you have grandkids, kids around? Do you want to be near them? Do you have siblings that are around and neighbors that can help you and support you in your home? Remember, most of my clients are 65, 70 or older, and some of them are 100. And some of them, even if they're 100, I might even say, if I ask them all these questions and they do real well answering all of these questions, I might say, you know what, this is the best place for you. But this is everything you need to be cognizant of. So do you have that support and safety network? Do you have a vision of your future, of where you actually want to go? What makes you happy? What makes you unhappy? You know, where do you think you want to end up? And we'll work our way back from that. Also, where about vicinity-wise do you want to be? Do you want to be in the Bay Area? Do you have to be in the Bay Area? Your doctors maybe are around and you want to stay in that area. Maybe you're not tied to this area and you can make a different decision because you're not tied to the vicinity. And then the retirement communities, I work with all of the retirement communities. I do talks to the people that are on the wait list. And so you need to think about why you might be skeptical, or what are the myths of living at a retirement community. Another choice. Okay, your trust, we're almost through. I know this is an eye chart, but this is life right here. This is everything you need to be taking into consideration. Your will, your trust, are you holding title correctly? Do you have a power of attorney? Do you have a healthcare directive? Very important. If you don't, and someone passes away or you have a health issue, then it's going to puncture a hole right in your financial plan. So you need to make sure everything, all things, all bases are covered. If there was a divorce or a second marriage, are you holding title correctly so that if a co-owner passes, you get a full step up in basis, not a half of step up in basis? A lot of people, when I meet with them and I throw this stuff out to them, this is all stuff they've procrastinated on or didn't realize that it was part of the decision-making process. So we want to avoid probate. So if you're holding title all by yourself and you don't have a trust, property is going to go to probate, which is time consuming and very expensive. Making sure your trustees are accurate. Is the good kid now the bad kid? The bad kid's now the good kid? Have you reviewed your trust in the last 5 years? Okay, and then as far as your real estate goes, are you enjoying your maintenance and your repairs? Can you keep up with them? Do you enjoy that? Have you upgraded your home to make it safe so that you can age in place? Have you thought about your investment properties, maybe moving to one, selling one, or doing a 1031 tax exchange? All playing into your financial plan so you don't run out of money for the rest of your life. Downsizing your life, whether you're staying or going, that's going to bring joy to your life. And then this is where a typical realtor comes in, the home prep and sale. That's just what a realtor normally focuses on, not all of this other stuff. And then packing and moving. So I know that's a lot. I don't have any more eye charts like that, but I just want you to realize how many things go into your decision-making process. So when you hear someone say, oh, I'm going to sell my house, say, hold on, wait a minute. Have you thought about everything? Okay. So now we need to evaluate where we stand and how strong we are in each of those areas. So if we gave ourselves a score of, let's say, low, medium, or high, or 1 to 3, or 1 to 5, we want to rate ourselves and we want a nice, round, balanced life. But some of us may be looking like this. They're maybe low in some areas and high in some other areas, or some of us might look like this. So this is where we need to ask you some questions to tell you or help you figure out where you're lacking and where you're strong, and maybe you're out of balance. So here's an example. Like if you're really high on finance, you have lots of home equity and you have positive cash flow and high net worth, and you can pay for in-home care, and you've got a formal financial plan. You're like, okay, I'm rock solid finance-wise. Well, if you don't have a trust, you don't have a power of attorney, you don't have a healthcare directive, you're not holding title correctly, you're not going to get the full step up in basis when someone passes. You know what I'm saying? There's balance and counterbalance. So just because you're high in one area, something else can definitely sabotage that. Now, if you're high on health, you drive, you cook, you stay active, your physical condition is going to remain the same for the next 5 or 10 years, great. But if you're, lonely and you don't have any friends and you're isolated in your house and you're not doing activities and you're not learning and growing, it's counterbalancing. And then if you add in, maybe my real estate needs help and I have to fix it up and it's not safe for me to stay there, then you're really off balance. Another example, I'm high on real estate. It's in great shape. I can stay and age in place. I've got a bedroom downstairs with a bathroom. My neighborhood's great, all that kind of great stuff. But I'm negative cash flow. I'm house rich, cash poor. I don't have any funds to maintain the house. I can't afford in-home care. I don't have access to the equity in my house because I can't get a loan because I'm retired. You see how all of this plays into it, and then you just add more things onto it and you get really off kilter. So back to the framework. First, we evaluate where you stand. We already did that, where you stand in all those areas. Now we need to talk about where you're going, because just because you know where you stand, you need a roadmap. You need a vision of the future. So I read this book. It's called The Joy of Strategy, A Business Plan for Your Life. Changed my life, changed my class. And you might want to go out and get this, because when you're in business, you have a business plan for your business, but you don't have a business plan for your life. And I'm talking about vision and culture and positive cash flow and all the kind of things you have for your business. You need that for your life. And so this book shows you that you need to do a self-evaluation of what makes you happy. What are your peak experiences? When am I at my worst? Is it crying babies? I don't want crying babies and lawn mowers and, you know, squawking birds and things like that. That's when I'm at my worst. And then think to yourself, this is sort of a, let's grab a glass of wine and have a self-evaluation of ourselves. What if I didn't have to worry about anything? What would my life look like? Okay, so you need to have that snapshot of the future. So it's called the postcard from the future. It's your homework. Each of you can do it if you're married. Hopefully your postcards match, but you're writing a letter to yourself from the future, and you're telling your current self, here's what my life looks like. Here's where I'm at. Here's how it looks and feels and what I'm doing, and here's who I'm with, and here's what I do every day to make myself happy, and here's what I've avoided or got out of my life to make me happier. So start writing this postcard from the future. Mine took a couple of months to write, but just start writing down, you know, bullet points of what you're really looking for, because then when you have a choice to make and you have, let's say, choice A and choice B, choice A might make sense today for your current situation, and choice B might not make sense for your current situation. But if you have that postcard from the future and you know where you're going, even though choice B doesn't make much sense today, at least it kind of points the aircraft carrier in that general direction, and sooner or later you'll get there. So I urge you to do this homework, this postcard from the future, and talk with your spouse or somebody else about it, and then we'll work backwards from that. Okay? So now that we've evaluated where we stand in all of those areas, we know where we're going, then it's time to get educated. And you can do this on the internet, or you can do it on videos, you could do it on the website, or you can take these classes that, well, used to teach the classes before the whole pandemic thing, but now I've got a high risk category and classes where people are going to be sitting next to each other, which I don't know how many classes are going to happen. But in this workshop, it's called the Stay or Go Homeowner class. This is where we teach that holistic big picture. And we teach that, and we talk about all of these different topics. Okay? And it's a pretty in-depth 4 to 6 hour class. We could do it in 1 6-hour class, 2 3-hour classes, or 3 2-hour classes. And we'll teach you all of these different things. These are all the things you need to know about, but they're very hard to find that information online, and it's hard to find it in a way that's digestible to where you can understand it. So these are all the topics we teach in the class, and we're doing that in a very generic way. This applies to everyone. Now we need to get together. So what I do is I do a homeowner analysis. And the homeowner analysis is where we sit down, we meet in person, or we can do it on the phone or a Zoom call. And someone, it doesn't need to be me, but I'm getting pretty good at it, is that I need to know who the family, what's the family dynamics, the kids, your home ownership, did you sell a couple of houses, what's the condition of your home, what's your financial situation, not like personal information, but just are you positive, neutral, or negative? How's your social? Where's your vision of the future? You give me all that information, you compile all that information, and you're going to have to compile that information anyway, because the ultimate goal is to get to talk to a personal financial planner so that they can tell you, yeah, well, your vision of the future and your situation with your money and your family and your trust and estate and your health and all of that, yes, you can do it. We need that sounding board from a financial planner. So I'll spell out all the options, give you my opinions, and then send you on your way so that you can go talk to a financial planner, okay? They will put together a plan for you. This is just my plan. It looks like I'm going to make it. It says I have a 96% chance of making it to age 92. So I need to work on that a little bit. But you also need a financial plan that matches your postcard from the future, okay? More on education. Once we know if we're going, now we need to know where we're going. And there's a workshop that I give called the Stay or Go Where workshop. I can even distill it down into one of these for an hour, or maybe I can do 2 hours. But you need to decide, are you going to a new local home around your current neighborhood? And you want to know what you get for the money. Maybe it's a 1-story, 2-bedroom, 2-bath instead of the 5-bedroom, 2-story house. Or let's talk about going to a retirement living community, whether it's active independent or a continuing care retirement community. And you need to know all of the rules, and, you know, are they going to keep charging me more and more money? Am I going to get kicked out if I run out of money? How much food do they give you? All those questions need to be answered. Or you might want to think about relocating out of the area to a less expensive area, like maybe Santa Rosa or Roseville or Rockland or Boise, Idaho or Eugene, Oregon or something like that, where the weather, the healthcare, the transportation are similar. Nothing's going to be perfect like California, but there's going to be a lot less, the housing prices are going to be less. So stay or go where is deciding where you're going to go. And then finally, there's a quick little Ready, Set, Go seminar, which is just everything you need to know to get your home ready to go on the market, everything you're going to need to know selling it, and then to put together what's called a flight plan. So I kind of thought of this analogy is that the destination, you know, when a pilot creates a flight plan, they want to create, they need to know certain pieces of information. Where am I going? So in this case, as a homeowner, they need to decide, what did the financial planner say? How much fuel do I have to get to my destination? Is it a smaller home, retirement community, or out of the area? Am I buying first or am I selling first? Then I need to choose a co-pilot. That's the realtor or the transition specialist. They're going to help you get there. Then what is the condition of our plane? Can we make it there? Can we get the money that we're looking for out of the home based on the current condition of the home? So we need to inspect the home, disclose information about the home. We need to, sell the home as is because we don't want to do a lot of upgrades and spending a lot of money on that plane because we're going to be getting rid of it anyway. And then we're going to prepare for liftoff. So we're going to be getting that house ready to go on the market. This is all stuff we're going to be learning and putting together in creating a flight plan. Then as we're going during the flight, that is the transition or the transaction, the real estate transaction, you need to know about the emergency plans and things that might take place. So we need to be ready for those, for the turbulence. And then we'll arrive at our destination and hopefully that's the postcard from the future. So that's creating the flight plan. So a lot of people ask me, when is the right time to depart? In fact, I was talking to a retirement community and they said the number one question they get at the retirement community is the homeowner saying, well, when should I come here? Should I wait till my health declines? Should I wait till my co-owner passes away? Should I leave when I just get so bored I can't stand it anymore, or I get tired of cooking and cleaning, or, I don't want to call that handyman again? Is that why I make a move? Those are all certain reasons why you would make a move. I get that. But I think, and I think you would agree, being the group that you are, being so involved in finances, the best time to sell is when your investment is at its highest point. Okay? So the best time to buy low, sell high. Okay? And so when someone says, when should I sell my house? I say, when it's ready, when your investment has matured and before you start the decline down in the real estate market. So going back in time, I've noticed, and I've done statistics, that every 10 years, the real estate market does this. It's very predictable. And so when it's really important to time your move. It might not be when my health declines or when I get bored or when I'm ready or when my co-owner passes. It might be, hey, we're at the top. It's time to sell. I don't have another 5 to 7 to 10 years to wait for the market to come back. Okay? So it makes a change every 10 years. Now look at this. In 2018, we hit a high point. And these statistics are on Los Gatos and Saratoga, which is a pretty good area in California. I don't know if everybody's from California, but you might know Los Gatos and Saratoga. So this is where I usually work. And 2018, we hit a peak. 2019, there was a down. Notice, every 10 years. So over these 17 years, from the time they started doing statistics to now, this homeowner made $1.5 million in equity over the last 17 years, or $88,000 a year just by living in their home. But they had to go through some turbulence. So there in 2008 and 2009, a big drop happened. And what happened was home prices in that area went from $1,760,000 down to $1,400,000, say $4. And that was a 20% drop in home equity in 1 year, because we all know what happened, right? The mortgages went crazy and everything kind of imploded. And so home prices went down. Now everybody had to hang in there for another 5 to 7 to 10 years for it to come back. So this person lost on their home $367,000 of equity. At that time, it could have paid for a retirement community, the buy-in for a retirement community. Well, now in 2019, where our prices are, the average price in Los Gatos and Saratoga is $2.8 million. If we hit something, and we have hit the peak and we are starting to come down, and I'm not trying to scare anybody or add any false sense of security, but things are happening now. And I'm just putting it out there. Maybe 10 years from now, he was on to something. We've got this pandemic. We've got a election coming. We've got unemployment. We've got recession. So now I'm just trying to tell people, you can never time it exactly at the very peak, but you can go within a year or two to try and get the biggest bang for your buck. So if we had a 20% drop now in this area in Los Gatos, you'd be down by $560,000, and that's the buy-in for a retirement community, or it might even be the cost of a new home in a different area. But we were going to lose this because we waited too long. So that's the most expensive cost of staying. A lot of people say, well, it's cheaper if I just stay in my home because I don't have a mortgage and I don't have really any bills. It's more expensive to move. It might be more expensive to stay if you wait too long. So if you need to know what your home is worth in this crazy market, in this day and age, don't go to Zillow. Don't call some realtor out of the blue because he's going to get excited and he's going to tell you your home is worth more than it really is to get you excited. If you really need to know black and white, no, I'm not going to shoot any sunshine your way. I'll tell you exactly what your home is worth. Go to the website, stayergohomeowner.com. You'll see the home quote there. There's a lot of great stuff on that website. It's all free. There's no expectations. I'm not asking for your information. I'm not putting you on some list. I'm here to educate and to serve people, okay? So it's all there for you. If you want to fill in your home quote, I'll tell you how much you would walk away with, including your capital gains figures. So there's lots of questions on there that typically other people wouldn't ask you. And then if you want to schedule a consultation in person or in Zoom or on a phone call or whatever it is, I'll ask you those pointed questions, all those questions that will help me show you where you stand in those areas, because we're trying to see your home ownership in a holistic way. We want to take everything into consideration. And instead of you meeting with all of these different people in all of these different disciplines, 30, 45-minute phone call with me, I've got the right questions to ask you to really give you a report. It's called a homeowner analysis that spells out all of your options, tells you, here's your situation, here's what you're going through, here's your not 50 options, here's your 6 options from what you've told me. Now take this report, give it to your friends and your family and your kids, tell them I met with this person, they know a lot of stuff about a lot of things, they told me these are my 6 options, take it to your CPA, take it to your financial planner, and that information in that homeowner analysis will give the financial planner and all these other people the information they need to look at your situation and go, yeah, you know what? He really encapsulated your entire situation, and you have your postcard from the future. He's saying that you need to do one of these options to get to your postcard from the future. Now let's make some educated choices and decisions. And if that's staying in your home, that's totally fine. I'm happy for you. If it means doing something differently, hopefully it's something different that you never thought of before. Because a lot of people don't know what they don't know. So it's good to have somebody that teaches these classes and does all these videos. I mean, I'm probably have reached at least 3,000 people by now to help them make really good decisions. So that's the homeowner analysis. So I'm going to wrap it up easy. Maybe we can do some questions, but in a nutshell, it's a huge decision. It could be your last decision. I don't want you to make a silly move like my dad did. It's really hard to compensate or recuperate from a bad decision at this age. Don't want you to outlive your money. I want you to create that vision of your future so we can work backwards from that. I want to give you the clarity and certainty and confidence. You got to get educated, but I think you need to be educated in a way that's digestible with somebody that only talks with seniors. So that's what I was saying in the beginning of the course or this talk, is that that's all I work with. So I talk in a different way. I don't usually talk this fast. I'm talking this fast because I only have a short period of time and I have a lot to say. I want you to explore all of your options. Be that holistic homeowner, okay? Remember, everything happens. And if it's not you, if it's your parents or if it's your friends and someone says to you, I'm thinking about selling, go, hold on. Let's make sure that's the right decision for you. Or where are you going? Are you sure you want to go there? Okay? So I'm behind you 150%, whether you stay or go, always here for you. I'm very readily accessible. Lynn can get a hold of me. You can get a hold of me on the website. Call me. I'm just a nice, normal person that wants to help. So I think that's about it for me. If you have any questions.
Hi, Brian.
Hi, Celia.
This is really good information. So there is a question in the chat box right now.
Okay.
And Bill asks, what are the options for leaving the area for a Silicon Valley homeowner who has no mortgage, has a high potential capital gains when they end up selling the house, and has, of course, currently low Property 13 taxes?
Right. Wow, that's a big question. See, that's so funny. If you ask someone else that question, they'll just say, bam. There's a lot of things that you just said in there. So first question would be, are there two owners and are both owners healthy? Can we interact with that person? Well, I could just tell you, if you have a huge capital gains tax coming, and I know this sounds terrible, but if one of the co-owners might pass away in a year or two, then I would wait. Let's say you had a $3 million house that you bought for next to nothing 50 years ago. If you sold it with both of you living there, you'd get your $500,000 of capital gains exclusion, but still you'd be paying taxes on $2.5 million, and the 30% of that is like $750,000. It's going to kill you. And so maybe you might wait for one of the homeowners to pass where you'll get the full step up in basis, and then you sell and you have zero capital gains to pay. All that stuff is talked about in little educational videos on my website. They're called puzzle piece videos. And I talk about individual things for like 2 to 4 minutes on each video. So A, you'd want to see if you can get the capital gains exclusion. B, on your property taxes, you can retain your property tax, your low Prop 13 property taxes. Let's say you're paying $1,300 on your property taxes. If you move to one of 7 participating counties, you can take that property tax with you to the new property as long as the new property is equal value or less if you're downsizing. So if you sell like my mom sold her $750,000 house, 10 years ago, and she was paying hardly any sales tax or property taxes because she bought it for such a low price. She bought a home in the Rose Garden for $749,000, and she got to keep those property taxes that she had paid back when she purchased the home for $200,000. So I would try and retain my property taxes by moving to one of 7 different counties. Then as far as moving out of the area where you want equivalent healthcare, equivalent weather, equivalent transportation, equivalent culture, then there are other areas, and I have videos on that, where you can get a big bang for your buck. So even if you did pay huge capital gains taxes here and you sold your $2 million house and you're walking away with, let's say, $1 million, $1 million goes a long way in the areas that are around Sacramento, Roseville, Rockland, Lincoln, Folsom, Granite Bay, Placerville, all of those areas where it doesn't matter if you take your property taxes with you because you're buying a home up there brand new for $400,000. So I think you have lots of options, but you have to explore and think about and look at it in all different directions and ways. It's really difficult questions to ask until you've explored all those options. Did I answer your question?
So Bill, you're unmuted. Just want to make sure that your question was answered.
Yes, that's a great answer. I appreciate those nuances.
Yeah.
Something that I've struggled with is your question about health. We have one healthy partner and one not ready to die partner, but less healthy partner.
Yeah.
So I've recognized the fact that if one of us dies, the step up in basis is a wonderful tax benefit.
That's the only benefit.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I don't know if we can wait that long is the question.
Okay, so then here, I want to address that and go a little bit deeper on that then. Here's what you really need to find out. Can you afford full-time in-home care at something like $12,000 to $14,000 a month? Because that's how much in-home care costs round the clock. And I know you're thinking maybe you can be a caregiver and you can be there, but it's exhausting. It takes a lot out of you, and you're going to need respite. And so you're going to need some help. So the decision is, should I stay in this home and get in-home care at a very expensive price, or should I cash out while my investment is at its high point and think about going to a retirement community? Now, maybe both homeowners aren't ready for the retirement community, but sooner or later, both are going to be ready. And for the one person that needs the help, a retirement community, the right retirement community, a continuing care retirement community where you could spend the rest of your life, it's almost like a hospital with condos built around it. They have social, they have health care. If the person you're talking about now is independent and they start to gradually go towards assisted, you can do that right there. You can stay in independent, maybe they can go to assisted, or you can get assisted services in the independent unit. Now, if one of you needs skilled nursing, instead of going to an off-site skilled nursing place, paying those costs, you stay on campus at the community, you get your skilled nursing. Once you're done, then you move back to your unit where the healthy person is. Or they can stay there and they can live out their life in skilled nursing right there in the same community where the healthy one is. Or in addition to that, if one gets memory, a mild cognitive impairment, if you have that diagnosis, you can still make a move to a retirement community. If you get full-on dementia and you get a diagnosis of dementia, it's really hard to get into a retirement community at that point, because all the people that are already in the retirement community get preferential treatment to first right of refusal. And so the analogy I use is like a seniors community is the front door. They want you to go in the independent front door while you're healthy. And so I want people to go while they're healthy, and they want you to be healthy for 2 to 3 years before you move through the system. Now, when you move from independent into assisted, you get first preferential treatment. But if someone waited too long and they wanted to come in the side door of assisted living, that door has a huge long wait, because everybody that's in independent living is going through the system. So my number one thing, if you got anything from this presentation, is A, if you're a single owner and you don't have a trust, you got to get a trust, because then you're going to go through probate. But B, don't wait too long to think about making a move to either a less expensive area so you can afford the in-home care, or a retirement living community where the care is already there for you and it's less expensive to get care at a retirement community than it is to get care in your home. Man, every question I answer is so long. Sorry about that. But Bill, did that answer your question?
So I appreciate your long answers, because being an engineer, I like the details. But
good.
Here's what I take away from your discussion. So much of the nuances are so personal, and
yes.
and there isn't a blanket answer for everyone.
Exactly.
And it really brings home the point of your briefing this morning, which is it's holistic.
Yeah.
And you have to look at the bigger picture. So
yeah.
Looks to me like I need to talk to you offline personally.
I think the homeowner analysis thing that I'm talking about with the background that I have and the no expectations that I have for 30 or 40 minutes, and it's free. I mean, phone call, you do a download to me. I put it into my brain that's been doing this for so many years with so many people, and I spit you out 5 or 6 options for you. And then at least instead of spending all that time trying to find all this generic information out, I'm going to give you personalized action items and homework for you to really think about in a way and from somebody who's not trying to just stick a sign in your lawn.
Yeah, I agree. It sounds like that's the next step for me.
Yeah. Okay. More than happy to
Great.
help.
Thank you, Bill and Brian. We have
Sure.
another question from Lou. What do you think about the current trend encouraging people to put add-on property for rental purposes?
Oh boy. Okay. This is just a personal opinion. Okay. I'm going to ask a question back to you. If you were your neighbor and you lived on the other side of the fence, and let's say your neighbor put in a granny unit right on the other side of your fence, I don't think you would like it. I think that it would actually affect your property value because the buyers that come into the property, they say, what's that on the other side of the fence? And they say, oh, that's a granny unit that someone lives there. They paid hardly any rent or whatever. Well, I don't want to buy this house then. Now that's going to affect the property values around you, and it's going to affect your property value. Also, some people want a yard and some people don't want those units in their backyard. So what you're doing is you're adding something that is an issue. It's something they need to think about. It's like a swimming pool in a backyard. They say, I love the house, but gosh, I really don't like the swimming pool. And now I got to spend this money to fill in the swimming pool. Or if I don't want that unit, I got to take that unit out. So my answer to that is I don't like them. I don't think they're really good for anyone, except if worst case scenario, if you couldn't afford to send your mom to a retirement community and you couldn't afford in-home care and you wanted an ADU unit in your backyard for mom as a temporary thing, and it's a kind of a plop it in and take it out when you don't need it, I would say that's okay. But long-term, big picture, I don't think they're a good investment.
Got it. Thank you, Brian.
Sure.
The next question comes from Catherine. In general, does it pay to not sell the home, but then rather lease or rent it? Can one still live in the Bay Area using the cash flow from the lease and rent of that home?
Great question. Man, I wish we should do a talk on this. So I have a presentation that I do. It's called Selling a Home for Cash Out, Renting a Home for Cash Flow. So the difference is as a cash out, you're liquid, you take the money. The most important thing is you get your capital gains exclusion of $250,000 per owner only on primary residence. So if you rent your property out for more than 2.5 years, it turns into an investment property. Now, when you need to sell the investment property because your health declines or you need to make some choices or you need to help someone out financially and you need to liquidate that investment property or that rental property, then you're not going to get $500,000 of gain excluded, and you're going to have to pay 30% on that $500,000, which is about $175,000 you've just thrown away if you need to liquidate that property. There are good things about having rental properties. The good things are you get to keep the appreciation. The appreciation keeps rising while hopefully we don't go through a downturn and you have to wait 7 years for that to come back. But the good thing about renting it out is you get appreciation, you get the cash flow. I understand about the cash flow, but it's a smaller cash flow and you're not liquid. Because if you do need the funds, you need to sell, and you don't want to sell. You want to just keep doing 1031 tax exchanges. Another thing about renting a property in California. California is a very renter-friendly state. In fact, just recently during this pandemic thing, They said, oh, all the renters, you don't have to pay rent. Can you imagine having a rental property? Maybe you have a mortgage on it or something, but you do have expenses, and your renter just says, I'm just not going to pay the rent, or the renter trashes the home and leaves you with a house full of stuff and a house full of problems, because who wants to be a landlord at this age? And are you going to go over there every 6 months to check to make sure they're keeping your house in shape? Are they going to fall and hurt themselves and you're going to have a lawsuit on your hands? There's a lot of risk that goes with having an investment property. Now, I understand why you would want to, why you would keep it. The one good thing about having a rental property, remember we said there's only one good thing about someone passing away, is the step up in basis. You get a step up in basis not only on your primary residence, but all of your investment properties. So there's another good thing about renting it out. But at this age, I'd say 80% of my senior clients don't want to be a landlord anymore. And the kids always say, oh, don't sell it, keep with that appreciation. Well, every 10 years it goes like this. So you don't know what the market's going to do. So if your investment is at a high peak and you start seeing a downturn, I think it's a good time to start thinking about selling that home. And the cash flow okay, here's another thing on the investment property. If you have an investment property here in Silicon Valley, you have a big basket for your one egg, okay? What I would do is I would liquidate that big basket and I would go buy 3 different homes, because then if this tenant doesn't pay their rent, this one does. And maybe I want to sell this one, but not this one. So diversification, like in your stock portfolio, it's good to have multiple stocks, not one big gigantic stock. So I didn't really answer your question, but I just gave you my opinion on the pros and cons of each. But if you want to get into that, on the website, under the real estate section, there's I think a 30-minute talk, a presentation called Sell for Cash Out, Rent for Cash Flows. You can look at that.
Great, Brian. Catherine, you are unmuted just in case you had any follow-on. All right. Otherwise, we'll move on to the next question.
Sure.
The next question is from Phil. Can you transfer your Prop 17 tax base if you buy first and then sell the second, and for how many years in between?
Okay, he meant 13. It was probably a typo, but it's Prop 13. You want to continue to retain your Property 13 sales tax. You can buy first as long as it's less than you sell for, but it's hard to know what you're going to sell for if you don't sell first. But you can. So let's say you have a big delta, you're going to sell for $1 million. You know your house is going to sell for somewhere between $950 and $1 million. You're pretty comfortable with that. And you're going to buy something for $750 or $800. You know you're going to be less. So as long as that prerequisite is adhered to, you can buy first and then sell. And I think it's a year and a half that you can do that transition and still retain your current property taxes.
All right. Did that answer your question, Phil? You're unmuted in case you have a follow-on.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh, so what if you do buy higher than you sell? Is there just, you sell the delta? I mean, you have to pay taxes on the delta?
No, you have to pay taxes on the new sales price.
Oh, completely. The total.
Completely. Yes.
Oh, that's bad.
Yeah. Yeah. It's for, that whole thing, what you're doing there, Prop 13 is just to keep them at one level. It's Prop 60 and Prop 90 is what we're talking about here. 60 is to transfer your property taxes and 90 is to transfer them to a different county. So yeah, once you go to a different county and you're buying $1 million house, you're going to be paying, you times that $1 million by 0.0125, and you're going to be paying $12,500 a year in property taxes. So buy lower, or just go to an area where the houses cost less and you'll pay new property taxes on that lower amount, and you're still getting lower property taxes than you would have here if you bought something new here.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Great. And then we have a question from Charles, which is, do you work with people outside of the Bay Area and I guess potentially outside of California even?
Yes. So I have a network of realtors who I'm referring people to. I've taught them everything they need to know to be on the same page that I'm on. They are hand-picked, hand-selected. I've been to the areas. I've seen the areas. I've interviewed. And so if you're working with me on selling a home here, I can then teach you and tell you about these other areas where I've been, where I know the people, hand you off to them, and then they will pick up where I left off. And so what's good about that is you don't just want to go to some other area, go to some random open house, meet some random agent who you don't know anything about, and use that agent for the most important transition of your life, making your nest egg change. So stay within my network and you'll be treated like gold.
Charles, I don't know if you have a follow-on or not, but you are unmuted.
I don't have a follow-on, but I appreciate the answer.
Thanks, Charles.
Great, thank you. So we will take more questions if you would like. Just open up the chat window and ask your question.
Good timing.
Yes, otherwise we'll hand it back to Brian to wrap up.
I'm done. Thanks so much for your time. This was a great venue. I love the Zoom. Hopefully you could hear me and I didn't talk too fast. I talk much slower in real life. Always here. Yeah, just give me a call so we can chat. I've got time. This is my passion. I just want to help people, and no expectations on my part.
So we actually do have time because our next speaker isn't scheduled to present until 10:30. We, of course, want to wrap up beforehand, maybe around 10:15.
Okay.
So I see another question in. Certainly if people want to take a break and take a long break and come
Sure.
back, around 10:25 or so, they'll still be fine to, get ready for the next session.
Okay.
But for the time being, certainly we'll take some more questions from anyone who has it.
Okay.
There's one from Susan that says, some of the areas in California which have a lower house purchase price are in areas prone to fires. Can you comment on the impact of higher fire probability on moving to other areas of the state?
Wow, what a great question. So not a lot of people think about this, and it hit home for me with Santa Rosa. So I went to Santa Rosa before the fires, and I was enamored and fell in love with Santa Rosa. It had great seniors communities. It was close to the coast. It had great weather. It wasn't too crowded. It had a really cute little downtown. It was only an hour from San Francisco. It had everything going for it. And then about 6 months after I shot that video, in fact, there's a video on the website called, and in the Stay or Go Where section on Santa Rosa, where I went to visit there. I had the realtor in my car sitting next to me. I had a dash camera. I was asking her all these questions about Santa Rosa, and we were loving it. And then I went to the retirement communities and I shot video there. And then the fires happened and everything changed. And so, but that was the weirdest, funkiest, most uncommon fire because it was actually in neighborhoods. So it wasn't that they were in the forest like in Paradise or up in Redding where they're in the middle of nowhere. There's only one road in, one road out. So really it's hard to say what is a fire danger and what isn't a fire danger, but there are less expensive areas that are not in the forest or near the wilderness. So you can go to El Dorado Hills or Carmichael or anywhere outside of Sacramento. The areas of southern Boise near Meridian, Nampa, Star, those areas are not in the forest, and you can buy homes for $200,000-300,000. And the weather, the healthcare, the transportation is all plus or minus maybe 10% of what we have here in the Bay Area. So I wouldn't suggest to move somewhere, so rural that you're going to be in fire damage. And also, you know how I like to think about lots of different things? If you're moving to a rural area, I don't know if there's going to be a Kaiser hospital nearby. I don't know if there's going to be an airport, national airport that you can get to within 20 or 30 minutes. I don't know if there's going to be, you know, culture and a downtown. So I don't think you want to move out to those areas anyway. And if you're going to move to less expensive areas, there's no way to tell if there's going to be a fire or not. So you just got to kind of go with your gut and do your evaluations. And what I tell people to do is, you know, go to Florida in the summertime and see how humid it is. Go to Oregon in the wintertime or the springtime and see if you can handle the rain all the time. Go visit these areas, stay a month, you know, and see what it's really like. Don't make a choice until you've been there. So like, remember I told you my dad went to Texas. 2 weeks later, he's like, oh my God, there's hail balls out here that dent your cars, and there's lightning storms that hit the houses. And I told you, Dad, I told you to go out there and rent before you bought. So number one, if you're thinking about going to an area, maybe have someone take care of your house, get a short-term rental, and go see what it's like for the different seasons in those areas before you make your choice. Long answer, but you know, everything is taking everything into consideration.
And Brian, don't forget the mosquitoes in some areas.
And the bugs. Everybody tells me about these gigantic bugs like in Minnesota. And, you know, I don't care if you can buy a house for $100,000 in Tennessee. I don't want to do it. And plus, my home right now, and most of our homes it's our exit strategy. So I bought my house for $250,000 and it's worth $1.5 million. I never thought that would happen, but I want to make a really good choice. I'm going to buy something for cash somewhere else. Maybe I'll even buy it with a reverse mortgage and live on the rest of the money. I just need to find that right area that's similar to this area, but that's not this area, because I think everybody's kind of tired of this area. I think a lot of us will be leaving in the next 5 to 10 years. Unless we go to one of these beautiful retirement communities like Saratoga Retirement Community or the Terraces of Los Gatos or Los Altos. So yeah, it's a really, really important decision.
Great, Brian. The next question comes from Lynn. Can you comment on the buy-in prices of retirement homes?
Sure.
Are they generally too high, or
No.
do they cover health care costs over time, etc.?
Okay, great question. I've got videos about this online. I do talks at the retirement communities for the people that are on the waiting list, especially now that this whole shelter in place is going on, because I have a lot of my seniors. I asked them the question the other day: if the retirement community called you and said, your unit is ready today, would you go during this shelter in place? And before the shelter in place, they'd be like, yes, I'm ready. I'm on the waiting list. Let's do this. And now it's like, no, I don't want to go to a hospital. I don't want to go to a retirement community. I want to shelter in place in my own home. And I want that retirement community to return to its vibrancy of what I signed up for. So I understand there's lots of videos on the website about retirement communities. To answer your question about the buy-in, there are certain communities that are buy-in, and there are certain communities that are just month to month. And the buy-in communities also have a month-to-month component to them. What you're getting for that buy-in, and the buy-in is typically around $350,000, $400,000. What you're getting for that buy-in is a life-term care contract that they will take care of you for the rest of your life, whether it's independent, assisted, skilled nursing, or memory care. They'll take care of you and not kick you out even if you run out of money, because there's benevolence funds. They will give you a place where you can spend the rest of your life. Now, let's talk about $300,000, $400,000 in Los Gatos or Saratoga. You can't buy a tough shed in Los Gatos or Saratoga for $350,000, let alone one that gives you access to dinner every night, lunch, trips, healthcare, activities, all of that stuff. So when I get someone telling me, I'm going to sell my $2 million house, but I really don't want to spend $400,000 to get into one of those retirement communities because it's going to make me feel old anyway. And, I can't bring my pet and the food's not good. All of that, those are myths. And we do a class called The Myths of Retirement Living, where I have a panel of all of the people from the retirement communities, and I ask them all these tough questions. What do I get for the money? Why should I do a buy-in? What's the difference for a month-to-month and a buy-in? Here's the difference between a month-to-month and a buy-in. There was a month-to-month community in Los Gatos called The Meadows. And when you're month-to-month, you're just renting. And if anything goes wrong with that community, they just tell you to leave. And when you've spent 15 years at a community and you're 95 years old and they say, bye, you didn't buy in, you're just a month-to-month person, you have to leave. Terrible. I would want that safety net, that insurance policy, that country club membership that says, I'm part of this community, it's my new neighborhood, these are my new neighbors, and I'm staying here for the rest of my life, and it only cost me $300,000. That's a bargain. So I don't think it's expensive. Now, let me just give you a tip. Hopefully there's no retirement living community salespeople on this call. There are 2 or 3 different types of buy-ins. There's a low buy-in and a high buy-in. So if you go to the Saratoga retirement community, you can buy in for $1 million or you can buy in for $400,000. And you say, why would I buy in for $1 million? Well, some people, they don't want to worry about it. And the difference between that is if you buy in for $1 million, after you pass away, 80% of your buy-in goes to your family and your heirs. Okay? Well, some cases that seems kind of good. But really, they're holding that $1 million in an account somewhere, making interest on it, investing with it, and they're making money on your money so that they can give you 80% of your money back when you pass. Well, if your heirs and your siblings don't need a financial windfall when you pass, why would you give away your money on the big buy-in instead of buying in at $350,000 or $400,000 and using that other $700,000 inside of AAII, making good investment choices and you making money on your own money instead of letting someone else make money on your money? So rule of thumb, if you are going to a retirement community, first find out which one you vibe with, which one really, the food's good, the people are good, the age demographic is good, I don't have to walk very far, it's near where I wanted to be near, all the amenities are there. Once you find that place, you get on the waiting list. Don't wait too long to get on the waiting list. If your health declines or changes and you waited too long, you're going to be stuck with in-home care, and you're going to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars paying for in-home care, whereas you could have went to a retirement community, paid the $400,000 and just been done with it. And then they're going to take care of you. And your insurance kicks in at the retirement community also. So all that skilled nursing stuff is either included in your fee or taken care of by insurance. Lynn, did I answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Man, I can't just say yes or no. There's so much in here.
Yes, this is great, Brian. We have another question. It is from Barbara. Are there any protections with CCR communities to ensure services will be available when you need them?
Absolutely. Here's a tip. If you're going to go to a continuing care retirement community, go to a non-profit or not-for-profit. Okay. If you go to one that's for-profit, then some of your, I don't know, level of care, attention to detail, quality of staff, amenities are based on their profits. And also the prices that you're paying on a monthly basis go into their profits. If you go to a nonprofit that's usually run by a religious organization, whether it's Protestant, Catholic, Lutheran, whatever it is, the level of care, the empathy, the culture, the vision is different than a for-profit. But to answer your question, what's the guarantee that they're going to give you those services? You paid for them. It's in your contract that you will get them. You sign a pretty detailed contract. And another thing is too, is that the residents at the community, like I said, those are your new neighbors. They're on a panel and they have a say in what happens around that community. What classes are offered, what food is served, how they interview the chef, all of the amenities, what we're going to do next, how we're going to change rules. Those are all done in conjunction with the input that the residents have there. And see, you don't have that when you're by yourself, isolated in your own home. A lot of people think, oh, it's just better to be at home. It's cheaper to be at home. I've got my doctor, I'm driving, I'm fine. Everything's just fine here. Why would I make a move, sell my house, give $400,000 to a community and pay them $5,000 a month? I know that all sounds crazy, but I can justify that in a second. If your health gets to be to a point where it's irreversible and you need assistance, if you're not already in a retirement community, you're going to eat through your financial plan twice, if not 3 times faster. So that's why I want to give you all this information, not only just so you have it so that you know it, but so that you can take it to a financial planner and you can say to the financial planner, I'm thinking about a retirement community. I'm not quite sure. Here's what my health is like. Here's what the kids are like. They need an inheritance. They're all broke. When I pass away, I want them to get all those funds. All that information goes to the financial planner. And then you say, also, Mr. Financial Planner, I want you to put in there some scenarios of if I need in-home care full-time for the rest of my life. And you'll see the difference in the financial plans. And he'll say to you, it's much better if you think that that might happen, if you have a diagnosis of mild cognitive impairment, that's a sense of urgency that you should get to protection. You should get to a community where they can take care of you for the rest of your life and you won't burn through your financial plan. See, I always lose track of the question.
Yeah, I guess my question was actually, I was thinking of a situation of bankruptcy or the community somehow going on.
Oh, okay. Let me talk to
Because
them.
I'm convinced about the CCRs. My mom
Okay,
was
good.
a CCR.
Okay, here's the deal. On the CCRC, Continuing Care Retirement Communities, you know that buy-in that we're talking about? A large portion of that buy-in goes into what's called a benevolence fund. And so let's say of the $400,000, they probably take like 200,000 of it and put it into a fund. That fund grows and grows. They make money on that fund. And with the rest of the money, they pay for services and upgrades at the place. So I don't think a nonprofit's going to be going out of business when they're making and they're banking so much money. So I've never heard of a seniors community or retirement community going out of business, especially in this day and age where 20,000 people every single day for the next 18 years are turning 65. They're building retirement communities as fast as they can. And the wait list at a retirement community is like 3 years. So you know how Public Storage is the #1 franchise right now because people want to store all their stuff? Retirement communities are going like gangbusters. They're not going to be going out of business or going bankrupt anytime soon. And if you go with if you just stay away from the for-profit ones, because for-profit, they have to give dividends, they have shareholders, they have meetings, their stock price, all that kind of stuff. You want to stick with a non-profit or not-for-profit. I think you'll be fine.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Barbara. The next question comes from Roland. What about long-term care insurance versus a retirement community?
Okay, so long-term care insurance policies are far and few between. If you have one, you're lucky, you're smart that you did it when you did it. They're very difficult to get. The rules change on a regular basis. All the banks are getting out of doing it. No one wants to do long-term care insurance anymore. So if you do have it, when you go to use it, it's not infinite unless you, I'm going to caveat this by saying, if you have one of the maybe 1 out of 100 long-term care policies that go forever indefinitely, well, you're all set. That's great. You're going to be taken care of. That's going to take care of your in-home care, skilled nursing. Remember, it has to be skilled nursing or dementia. But still, you go back to the fact that you're going to be isolated. Something could happen. You're going to be all by yourself. It's, I don't know what kind of care you're going to be getting. And if you're going to stay in your home and you're going to get in-home care, those in-home care companies are very tumultuous. They have a lot of turnover. If one person can't make it, they'll just send in somebody else. If you are at a weight, your actual body weight, where the person that's there can't lift you or help you, then they need 2 of them and you'll be charged twice as much, even though your long-term care insurance policy only pays for 1 of them. And also, in addition, your long-term care insurance policy works at the retirement community. They accept your long-term care insurance policy. So I would go with the double whammy, or the best of both worlds. I would take my long-term care insurance policy to the retirement community with me, and then you're covered. There's going to be no out-of-pocket.
Awesome. Thank you.
Sure.
Thanks, Roland. All right, so we'll have one final question before we wrap up. This one is from Dick. How do you think this current pandemic will affect housing prices?
Oh, I could have paid you to say that question. Perfect question. Okay, so doing another talk. It's called The New World of Real Estate and Retirement Living. It's how to sell a home during the shelter in place. To answer your question, you're asking, how is this affecting the real estate market? In April, all the numbers dived. As soon as it was shelter in place, we couldn't sell a home that was occupied. So that eliminated a lot of the inventory, and that told the sellers, I can't sell because no one's going to buy a property that they can't see. So we could only sell vacant properties. And in April, everybody was kind of freaking out. Nobody was really buying anyway. So in March and April, everything sort of stopped. Well, Monday of last week, they relaxed the shelter-in-place rules, saying that you can now sell an occupied property if the seller is not in the property when you're showing the property. But still, you have to do it virtually. Okay, so how's it affecting the real estate market? We had a dip in March and April. Right now, because of the relaxed rules, we're strong. Sales are brisk. Things are going well. But the problem is that everybody who wanted to buy or wanted to sell during those 2-month period didn't. Now we're getting a flood of inventory. So a lot more homes are coming on the market. Now that we're in May and June, there's going to be more inventory, more supply and demand. So if there's more supply, I think housing prices might come down a little bit, especially with, now we've got the killer hornet that's coming, and we've got, the election, and we've got just all this uncertainty, and unemployment is at 20%, and home prices are really, they float based on consumer confidence and employment. And the way that the government tries to counterbalance that is they lower the interest rates, and they say to the buyers, yeah, well, it's kind of a weird time, but if you still have a job, look at these great interest rates, you can afford more home, and the home prices are coming down a little bit, so Mr. Buyer, you should continue to buy. So right now is the only time I can answer your question confidently is it's going great. And if someone asked me, and is even my mom, she said, should I sell now or sell later? I'd say, Mom, I'd say go for it. You can sell during this time. Home prices are still steady. We're still going strong. Things are selling with multiple offers in, the first week or two. Everybody's doing it safer. We're doing it with gloves. We're doing it with masks. And, You know, we're wiping things down. We're not doing open houses anymore. People that come through the home, they can only come in one at a time. They can't open or touch anything. They can only stay for 5 minutes. So it's a new world of home selling. And just like 9/11 made us safer at the airport, I think this whole shelter in place, this COVID thing is going to make us selling real estate and just in general, we're going to be safer and cleaner people, and we're going to do things more virtually. So there's going to be virtual open houses, virtual tours. There's going to be videos. We're going to be doing more Zoom meetings and more docu-signing. But to get right back to your question, there's no issue right now with real estate. In fact, it's doing really well. I don't know what it's going to be like in June or July, though.
Thank you, Brian. Did that answer your question, Dick?
Well, no, because I was really thinking about a year from now.
Oh,
You know, we've got a lot of people unemployed. They don't have money coming in. They've used up what savings they have. And, you know, what is the short-term outlook for housing prices? Not, when I say short-term, I don't mean this month or next, but, you know, 6 months to a year
okay.
kind of outlook.
Can you still see my slide on the screen?
Yes, I remember
Okay.
that one.
All right. 2018 was our high point. 2019, we went down. 2020, the California Association of Realtors and Gary Keller, which is Keller Williams is the largest real estate company in the world. Gary Keller even told us, you're not going to have as good of a year as you did in 2018 or 2019. Remember, I said you can't time it exactly, but we're on a downward cycle. I don't know how fast it's going to go. Is it going to go this fast where it happened in 20% in 1 year? I don't know. It might be more gradual, because the reason we came down in 2008 to 2009 was the big financing fiasco where everybody who could fog up a mirror got a loan, and all those loans went south. So we went down really quickly. I don't think we'll go down real quickly, but I don't think we're going to stay steady for much longer. I think we are on a downward trend, and I think that if you can't afford to stay in your house for another 7 years to wait for this trend to come back, that's the scary question. If it happens and how long it takes, it always takes quite a while to come back. Do you have the time to wait for it to come back to what it is now? And then do you have the time to wait for it to go up from there? So no one has a crystal ball. No one's ever been through this pandemic before. We don't even know what's going on with the whole world in general with whole unemployment thing, but I think all signs are pointing to a downward trend.